his philosophy and methods. I had a lucky escape. Some handgunners came with a priest of Sigmar to board up me front door, and when I asked them what they were up to, they said it was under the plague laws. Well, I had a bit of the sniffles, and me wife, Hilda, had been poorly for weeks. So the priest says, "Hans Braun, by imperial decree, you are hereby ordered to stay." Well, no, says I. I'm Felix Braun. Hans Braun lives next door. Of course, I never saw my unfortunate neighbor again. From Hans Braun, a Reichlander peasant. NURGLE is the god of pestilence and disease, and so is it not surprising that all the sickness which inflicts the world is generally from him? Plague and pestilence have swept across the old world in wave after wave since before the time of Sigmar. Whether an outbreak targets people, livestock, crops, or all three, it brings death and suffering and can have long-reaching impact upon the welfare and prosperity of the peoples of the continent. In the Empire, there are countless rumors of diseases crossing the southern sea on ships from Araby, arriving upon the northern shores in crippled plague ships, brought across the mountains by trade caravans, carried through the forests by beastmen, or erupting as if from out of nowhere within the great cities. The most famous and most severe outbreak was known as the Black Plague, which occurred several centuries ago. The plague destroyed entire towns and villages. So many people died that they were left unburied or heaped in mass graves of plague victims. It took hundreds of years for the population of the old world to recover, but the ramifications can be felt even today. The very words, Black Plague, can bring fear. The skeletons of some ruined villages, long reclaimed by the forests, surely still remain undiscovered, where entire populations were stricken by the plague. Nowadays, cities are often the places where plague is feared the most. The filth and the crowds mysteriously seem to help diseases spread. Outbreaks occur sporadically, potentially decimating the population of a single city before disappearing. In 2300 IC, there were reports that the entire city of Mousillon in Bretonnia was virtually wiped out by an outbreak of the Red Pox. Some physicians fear it can only be a matter of time before something similar strikes an imperial city. Because of the potential for utter catastrophe from even a single outbreak, much work has been done by some of the Empire's finest minds in an effort to prepare for the worst. The cult of Verena, the goddess of knowledge and justice, and the cult of Shalia, the goddess of mercy and healing, have worked closely to this purpose, attempting to discover new cures and techniques. This is certainly an exciting time in Imperial history for progress in such research. All sorts of new theories have been put forward on the nature of diseases, their cause, and how they are spread. The popular miasmatic theory proposes that many ailments are spread by bad smells. The cult of Shalia tends to personify the source of all disease, naming the dark god NURGLE as the force behind all contagion. Others disagree, and say whatever NURGLE is, he only manipulates diseases that are already in existence. The debate on nature versus NURGLE rages on. Other theories say that disease is simply a weakness of the mind or spirit, and that a positive attitude and a proper sense of morality will keep one safe. Others claim that diseases are a result of the alignment of the heavenly bodies, and that astrologers should soon be able to predict any outbreak and perhaps even find cures. Some say all diseases are spread by ginger cats. What is generally accepted amongst the educated of the Empire is that diseases might be passed from person to person by contact. This means that those suspected of being infected, or even of being in recent contact with a diseased person, might be shunned. They could be refused entry into towns, or perhaps beaten or chased off. In some extreme cases, a diseased person and their family might even be boarded up in their home and left to die by their neighbors, either of the disease or of starvation. In truth, NURGLE spreads disease through subterfuge, whispering to his followers to mingle with the masses whenever possible. He is not, however, averse to warfare, and sees it as an excellent vehicle for allowing new plagues to fester in the wake of terrible wounds, ruined crops, and tainted water. It is said he whispers in the ears of the mortally wounded on the battlefield, offering them an eternal, if disease and rotted life, if they give in to his call. He is viewed as a loving god by his worshippers, and he takes great interest in their activities and plots. Particularly favored followers receive the worst of his diseases and plagues, and often become twisted monstrosities from terrible mutations. NURGLE takes great pride in blessing healers and physicians, helping them to understand the true beauty of plague and disease. He loves beauty and beautiful things, being attracted to such things first. He never wants to destroy, but rather to improve, to instruct, and to reveal the hidden wonders of disease and the great truths of decay. Of course, his nature tends to rot and corrupt those objects he fancies, but such effects are acceptable, since NURGLE sees glistening decay as an enhancement to the natural beauty of any object or person.